Welcome back to Freedom Algo, everyone. I'm going to give it a second for everyone's notifications to go off. So just bear with me here. Hope everybody's having an amazing Monday. Tuesday. I'm in the wrong day over here. Hopefully everyone's having an amazing week. Let me know, how's your week going? Let me know in the chat, how's your week going? Hey, Daryl, good to see you. Good to see you. Ken, good to see you. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. This isn't the most reliable looking channel, but I just got back, so I'm going to draw it and see if it works. I'll let this other candle print, and then I'll draw this as a possibility. Again, this isn't really like a super reliable looking channel right here, but it might turn into something. We just gotta, I want to let this last candle play out and see if it actually fits. Project Panic, good morning. Doesn't look like it is gonna fit. Maybe. I mean, maybe. I don't like, I mean, you could draw it, but not really. That's not a very reliable looking channel, but we'll just see if it wants to hold here. Let's see. Maybe. A little bit of a consolidation here. We still do need a new low to be made on that earlier trend down here. So let's put a line on the chart here. Put a line about right there. This is from the low. This is what the area. This is our target right now. We'll see if it happens. We'll see if it happens. Oh, geez. All right, we got a spammer. Let me get rid of this guy. All right. Sorry, I had to remove that guy for spamming. Good morning, Peter. Good morning. Hey, Matt. Good morning. Good morning. All right, so there might be a channel here. It's like very questionable on like whether or not. Here, let me widen it very slightly. Very possible, but, you know, somewhat questionable, in my opinion here. Good morning, Roel. Good morning. Yeah, it looks like, yeah, I don't think so. All right, so we'll get rid of that. Good morning, Kimach. Oh, okay, cool. Cool. Hopefully that leads to some good profitability for you. All right, so I'm going to zoom out here in a second here. Let me just make sure that everything is functioning. If you're here, please give the stream a like. Let's get more likes cruising. We're going to go for a goal of 50 likes today. That's our stream target, 50 likes. And our subscriber goal is going to be to get to 5255. So 5255 is our subscriber target, 50 likes. Jacoby, what up? Good to see you. All right, so I'm going to zoom out. So this is what the day looks like at first glance. You know, kind of a weird day because we started in this range and then just turned into a downtrend. We had a breakout side here, a little correction to the upside. Now it looks like we are going to try to make a new low down here, which is what I expect after a move like this. If you zoom out and look at yesterday, it's not a surprise because if you just, like, I don't always look at the day before, but let me just zoom way out here. I want to zoom way out so you can kind of get some context. So overall, we had trended way down into this low and we kind of went sideways. And then yesterday we had this big uptrend and then a flatter trend that kind of continued up. So The thing is, there's a gap on the chart down here where the price had closed the day prior, and we never really filled that during the regular market hours. So when you have a runaway trend like this, a lot of times you are going to still come back and test the area. And if you zoom way out, you can kind of see, like, this is a big bearish move down. Not surprising, like, that we're coming down a little lower there. So, all right, so that's just overall some context. Here we go, actually. Let me zoom in. It does look like we're about to fill that gap that I had talked about, or not gap, hit that level that I talked about. The gap is at like 62, 63, 25, I think. I don't know, I told my paid community about it earlier. But you can see we're trying to come down and make this new extreme, which is probably going to happen soon. We don't even need to watch it. We'll just come back to it. All right, so let's go talk about the price action. So this morning, coming in, this is kind of how I saw it. And by the way, if you're here, please give the stream a like. We're trying to get to 50 likes today. If you haven't subscribed, definitely do that. We're trying to get to 52, 55 subscribers today as our stream goals. So let me get into it. So earlier this morning, I originally had my range low drawn. I had it drawn like this when I first got here, off of this low, and then off of this high. And so as it came down here, when I came in, we had this spike down. And then we had this like flatter little channel. There's a triple test here, but there's no good signal bar there. And also it's kind of still within this bearish move. So then I was thinking, okay, well, maybe we get like a higher low or an equal low or something. But instead what we ended up getting was this move where it closes outside of this level and then it does a failed breakout, but you can't long this. It's not really a great signal bar. It's right into this possible EMA. You don't know for sure if it's going to go lower there after a failed breakout. So you need some sort of like a higher low or some sort of confirmation. So when it came back here, we didn't get a higher low. We actually went lower. So there's just no trade in here. So unfortunately, you just have to watch it go. Even though it went lower, there's just no setups in there. If we had a more bullish bar here that closed outside of the trend, then I would have said that you could take this as a triple test because you would have had a 1, 2, and 3 triple test. But it just didn't happen. So you just have to ignore it. Then it comes down and it kind of forms this low down here. And so we do actually get a triple test here. So you get this low, you test it once here, and then you test it again here. So you get a triple test right here, but it's just not bullish enough. You can see it's a 9-tick bar, and you can see that it closed 4 ticks from its high. So it didn't close in the upper 1/3. It just doesn't qualify, and it's just too like sideways right there. You could almost look at this like a little micro sort of, like if you kind of draw, you could kind of look at this sort of like a micro range. So you just don't really want to take the chance of going long there anyway. Just not worth it. So even though there's another triple test here, it's just not a good setup to take. All right. Fraser, we actually had a really good day. So no offense, but we actually had a really good day in our side of things. And we were talking about the trades all day. I will say this. This was one of those days where you had to be real patient. I only took 2 trades today. And they are right here. So that was at 7:52 a.m. my time. And then right here, which was at 8:09. And that's the only 2 trades I took. 2 shorts. The other ones I marked, but I didn't take those. So you have to be real patient to wait for those setups today. And it's just like that because of what I'm talking about. There's a lot of spots where there was an almost setup. Same thing here. This one went higher and the triple test would have worked. But again, it's just not a good setup. So you just have to sit out. Now, you could treat this all like a new low. And then it comes up and creates a first entry, second entry short. But again, it's not a good signal bar. You can't short that bar. And you really need like some sort of a better setup there, because at the time I was originally thinking that this trend line might be more like this. Wait, let me draw that better. Like this, and we're getting like a close outside new high, but it was a stretch and we were going towards the news. So you had to be aware of that. But if you just widen this very slightly, it still fits really nice right there like that. So this might be your first close outside. And I think that's the correct move. You can kind of just see that that fits that price action really nice. So you had to be aware of that possibility. When you're drawing short-term trend lines, you know, if you have one like this, here, let me I'll draw both. So I'll draw the way I had it originally drawn was, I think, more like that, right? And if I zoom in here, let me zoom in. You can kind of see that it just doesn't fit that great here. Like this goes lower, higher, and it just isn't fitting these levels that well. So, you know, you probably have to widen it very slightly. Even if you just widen it a little bit like this is not really a convincing close outside. So when that happens, you kind of have to consider, and even if you draw it off that, like it's still not really, this is not a convincing close outside. And it still does fit the price action with the little bit of a wider channel. So when that happens, you're best off just to not take a trade there because you don't have any real good confirmation. But the other problem is this is the midline of the range at the time because I had lowered the range down to here. This is the midline. It's an exact rejection of the midline, but sometimes at the midline you start to bounce back and forth and consolidate there. So you don't really want to take a setup there. Sorry to hear that, Daryl. Sorry to hear that, Daryl. I didn't even know. All right, let's see. Good morning, Traderator. Good to have you here, as always. Good to see you in the chat. Yeah, Fraser, the patience is the most important thing here, especially on a day like today. But that's why we have all these rules. Daryl, if you want me to take a look at one of the setups, just put the timestamp in. You don't have to, but if you want me to look at the setup, just put the timestamp in. Happy to look at those. But again, no pressure. All right. Same to you, Fraser. If you have any timestamps of trade spots that you took that you want me to look at, I can talk about those as we go through. All right. So then this comes down. You get a close outside. Now this purple here is just, we were having a little news release. There was a news release 15 minutes after the open and another 30 minutes after the open. So you had to mark these. And this one was no big deal. It does come down here and then it reverses. Now, I wanted to talk about this. You can see a trap here. So we get the close outside and we get this big bullish bar. It's an inside bar though. And then what happens is it ticks a little higher and reverses and engulfs this bar. So this red bar engulfs it. So you get an engulfing bar. A lot of people tried to short below this bullish bar thinking that they were going to catch a lower high early. But they all get trapped. So this is kind of one of those double trap areas where you have the close outside, people try to go long, they're getting trapped, and then the people that try to go short, they get trapped, and then it does go higher. And this is just one of those examples. Now, if this was a better area of the chart, this is like, if this bar closed below, then you might actually have a lower high that you could take here. But because of the way that this works, you can see this is why engulfing bars can be dangerous. So just be aware of that stuff. Now, it was also in the news, so you wouldn't take the trade there anyway, but just wanted to talk about it as a learning opportunity. Now, it comes up, makes a new high, comes down, makes a lower high, but it's already moved too far, and there's no signal bar, and then we're in the news again. So there's just no trades in here that you could take because you just got to sit out for the news. Now, there is a learning opportunity in the news here, though, that I'll talk about, which is right here. You have a pullback, first entry, pullback, second entry long failure. So this is a pretty nice failed second entry long right here. It's in the news at the exact release of the news. So it's not a trade you can take. But this is exactly like what you want to see for a failure. Below the EMA, it's like it's looking like a possible bearish trend has formed. It's not one that you necessarily are going to take in a range day, but I just want to talk about it being a pretty decent looking failure. Dumps down. And then we get another lower high here, but it's still going lower. So you actually have a first entry, second entry short right out of the news, but you can't take it because, again, the bullish bar. So it's another one that you can't take. And it's kind of still at the news. Like it's only not even 3 minutes past. So then that cruises lower. And you end up in this little channel. You get a close outside, and then this is another one where you get a pullback. So now you have this little uptrend. You get a pullback, so that's a first entry short, pullback, and then you get a second entry short below this bar. And I really wanted to take this, but we didn't have a bearish bar. So unfortunately, you just can't You can't take it. Let me see. Project Panic, you asked, the first big red candle is the signal bar. Let me see what I got. Let me make sure I understand your question. Oh, gotcha. Sorry, Daryl. Sorry to hear that, man. Yeah, you know what? Just, but learn from it, man. Learn from it. Project Panic, what are we talking about? Oh, I see. You're talking about this bar right here? So this is the way that it works for a second entry is that this bar right here is your second entry long, but it's a failure. So what you would do if you were taking a failure here, you'd put your sell stop one tick below the bullish bar. So one thing about failures are not, it's not as important what your signal bar looks like on a failure. Yeah, so failures are not, you don't base signal bars on failures most of the time. Unless, all right, so, sorry, this is going to be very nuanced. So, when you're taking a trade like this one, there's two ways to take a failure, in my opinion. Let me see if I can just make a couple of lines on the chart, because it will make more sense if I do that. All right, so let me do this. There's going to be some janky drawing, but I'm going to do it anyway. All right. So, all right, so that's one. Okay, so let's say you're trading and you're trying to get a failure. This is kind of the best way to think about it. So let's pretend that these lines pointing up are candles that are closing higher or something like that. Yeah, I know. I know it's behind my head. I know. I was gonna, yeah, I moved it once I looked. Then we have a down arrow here. All right, so let's say this is the type of failure you're taking. So this is going to be a failed second entry long. So technically the way it goes is that the second entry long triggers right here, right? So let's say like you have a new high, you have a pullback, first entry, pullback, second entry. So this is the second entry long right here. And then it makes a couple of candles and then you get the bearish bar. Well, one way to enter a failure is like this, where you enter short here. These are risky. Because what is happening here is technically everyone who took the second entry long, their stop losses are below this bar, which is like basically 1.75 points away, right? So their stop losses are here. So the problem that can happen if you enter one of these is that you can get trapped because maybe it forms a higher low. So you actually enter short, it forms a higher low and you get stopped out. That's a dangerous thing about entering a failure this way. So you got to be aware of that because sometimes in a second entry long, it pulls back and gives a higher low. And if you went short there thinking it's a failure, you're actually trapped. So that's one thing. So the better type of second entries a lot of the times are when you're entering where everyone's stop losses are, which is like this. So when you have a setup like this one, that's what this example is over here. It's people enter the trade like this, one tick above the bar, right? Let's change the color of this. Let's not, because it will break everything. So let's not do that. So what happens here is that people enter the long right there. And then that's what happened here. So if you look here, they entered the long right there. It ticks a few ticks higher and reverses on them. So what you do in that case is you're actually entering it kind of like an engulfing bar. You have your sell stop order where all their stop losses are. So when this candle goes up and reverses, it comes down, fills your order as it stops all of them out and then runs down. That's how you play a failure like a trap. So when that happens, we don't care about the signal bar because we're actually playing it as a trap. Hopefully that all makes sense. When we play it the other way though, where it's like I was saying, where you could get trapped with a higher low or something, that's when I actually do care about playing the signal bar. Like, for example, let's say this bar right here was a failure, where let's say we're playing a failed second entry long right here, and we entered on this bearish bar one tick below. Well, you have a lot of room to the lows there. I care about the signal bar if I'm entering it like that, which is more of a continuation pattern entry. That's like a continuation pattern entry. This one is more of like a trap entry. So I hope that makes sense. But again, that's why these are so complicated and why most people should just not trade failures early on. You just got to be patient. Like, study them, but don't trade them at first, right? All right, Fraser, let me look at your trade. 7:14 Pacific. Where is that? That's over here. We were just over there. Okay, so you took a trade over here. You took a long in a failed breakout with trap shorts. Turned out. Oh, I see. Okay, so what it looked like. So what I think what you did was you drew a support here. You thought there was a failed breakout, and you went long above this bullish bar, thinking it was a failed breakout. I get the logic, but here's the problem. Even if you try to take that, you hadn't, at that point, you hadn't even touched this low yet. So you just had a bearish channel with a close outside, and you don't have a new low on it yet. And it's coming really close to it, within a tick. So I think it's just risky to take that. Also, you're entering in congestion. Look at this. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars that are pretty much all sideways. Equal lows there. Pretty much equal highs on those two. Like, it's just looking dicey. Like, in a spot like that, you really want to be aware of this as a possibility, right? Of a miniature consolidation, congestion type area. And basically what happened there was you thought you were taking a failed breakout out of the low, but what actually happened was you went long out of congestion, which means you took a failed breakout out of the high side. So just be really aware of that. No, I'm not to pick on you by any means. It's a mistake that can happen. You want to be aware of the high, this connection, and then this just confirmed that you have a down channel in play right here. When you got that third swing, you have a wider down channel there, so you have to be aware of that. Also, you just rejected back below the EMA. That was your first time coming back to it, and you got immediate rejection. That tells you right there, like, look at this. Rejection below the EMA here. We come back to it. We come back above it temporarily, reject. Like, this EMA is pointed pretty diagonally down. It's not looking like a range anymore. It's looking like a trend. All right, so hopefully that helps. I wanted a second entry here. I had an order ready to go. Couldn't take it because we didn't get a good signal bar. If you had a good signal bar there, by all means, really great setup. That would have been a red arrow short if we had a really nice signal bar. We didn't. And it would have given you a runner. It goes down. There's just nothing in here. It's kind of a strong trend, but like, it's not the type that you can take first entries on because there just isn't really a channel that's good. So you kind of just have to let that cruise. Yeah, for sure, Fraser. For sure, man. All right, so then this comes all the way down. You get a pullback, and you get a first entry here. Now, this is a hidden second entry short. I didn't take this trade, but it is a setup. And what this is a pullback. And then this makes an equal low here. On a smaller time frame, this probably was a first entry. And then it pulls back and gives you this. So this is like a hidden second entry short, but that's why it's a green. It is a close outside a new high of this up channel as well, and it's right off of the trend line. So if you took that, it's reasonable. I didn't take it. I was really just hoping we'd get a lower high off the trend line here that I could take, but it didn't happen. So no setup for me there. If you took a trade there, you definitely got a runner. Then it comes down and gives you a visual second entry short. So what this is a new low. Pullback. This is a new low again, but it looks like a pullback first entry, pullback second entry. It's not really, because this is a new low. So technically this is just a first entry. And then this is an equal high. So this is like a lower high, but it closes at its low. So you can't take that. But visually, it's like a two-legged correction. Again, it's not really ideal. It's stretching things. This one is one of those ones where, like, if you took this trade, it's probably like it's probably one of those like 75% chance of success type of trades. It's not really a guarantee, but it is a really bearish trend. It's a really good signal bar. It's only 7 ticks. So I understand if you took a trade there. So I just wanted to call it out. It's definitely not a super solid setup, but it's you know, it's good. It's good. Same thing with this one over here. This one's probably more like a 80% type of setup. This one I'd say 70, 75, something like that. And that's just I'm ballparking, like, so don't like quote me on that exactly. You know what I mean? I'm just giving you a random estimate. That's not based on some actual like statistical analysis, so be aware of that. All right. Anyway, if you're here, please give the stream a like. We've only got 19 likes, and we are trying to get to 50. And we're trying to get to 52, 55 subscribers, so definitely subscribe. All right, so then this goes down. We kind of bounce off the lows of the trend line. And you can see the trend line was off those lows. So the downside is holding, the midline is holding. So you have a nice healthy trend here. A healthy wider down channel. It comes down and starts to go up. Now, I took a second entry short here, and I'll be honest with you. I thought that this was going to go to a new low. I did not expect what happened here to happen, but that's why I scalp, right? It's not a guarantee here because of a couple of reasons. So you just came off these lows. We just came off the bottom side of the channel here. So when you come off the bottom side of the channel like this, sometimes you're going to come back to the other side of the channel, just like in a range. Now, not always, but we hadn't come back to this other side of the channel since way back up here, right? It had been, that's 7:30. It had been, at this time of this trade, it had been over 20 minutes since we had come back to the channel. This is the first pullback to the EMA, but I will say this. This closes above the EMA, so it's a little dicey here. However, I was thinking when this ticked up and reversed, a lot of people probably longed this as a higher low and were trapped. So I was looking at this as like, okay, people went long there. It went one tick higher and reversed. They're probably going to get stopped out most likely. So I'm thinking it's at least going to stop them out, right? That's what I'm thinking. And if you look here, there's 2 points to there. So, you know, it's no big deal. And also, we had this little up channel close outside, and it made a new high. So this is like, it's made a new high. So all things point to this being a really good short. However, again, we're not off of the actual trend line. So you have to be aware of that. When you're taking a short right here, you have to be aware of that. The other problem is, if I shrink this, let me shrink this. Hold on. Why is it not letting me click? There we go. Let me shrink this. At the time, you wouldn't have had a lot of price action here, but if you drew this as a possible wider little channel, it is possible that it's there. Now, you don't really know for sure, not confirmed. It confirms after this move right here. And so what ended up happening here was I got the scalp. It was perfectly fine. I didn't go for a runner here only because I was concerned that we were going to come up and test it and get a lower high. So it's funny, I actually got out of the trade and I had another order ready because I thought we might get a lower high and I was going to enter again as like as a lower high after a second entry short, but it ended up not happening. So still was a good setup. Basically what I was going to do was enter this one, and then if we got a lower high here, the lower high would have been the red arrow trade, because sometimes you get 2 legs to a new high after a little break like this. And this is only 1 leg. So hopefully that all makes sense to everybody. I tried to explain that best I can. We eventually do come up and break out of the little channel here. So we break out of the down channel. We try to go back in. And then this traps a bunch of shorts right here. I didn't take this, but this is here. We don't have a new high made on this little wider channel. And you actually get a pullback. You get a first entry. This kind of looks like a lower high. And I think a lot of people probably shorted right here, thinking that this was going to make a new low. And they got trapped. And then it makes a second entry long. That's also a higher low. So new high, pullback, first entry. Pullback, second entry long, trapping all these shorts. It engulfs this whole bar. If you went long above that, it's reasonable because you have room to that high. You got 2 points to the high, so you got enough room for a scalp. And that's all you'd be looking for there, is just to ride it up as like a little trap. But I just don't think it's the best setup there, so just be careful. Let me see here. Oh, you're welcome, Toad. You're welcome. You're welcome. Let me just catch up on these comments real fast. Fraser, let's see. Yeah, you know what, man? Like, just the only time you want to take strong trends with a first entry is like they need to be really obvious tight channels, and this is not a tight channel at all. This is not a tight channel. Look at this thing. This is not a tight channel. Now, there's probably some people who started to like draw channels like this in here and started to like trade off of that as first entries, but I think that's risky. That's not a real channel. It's a little bit, you just need to be careful with that sort of stuff. It needs to be obviously a strong trend in a tight channel. So there you go. Oh, cool. Welcome. Thanks for watching from India. Appreciate you. All right. So then here, this cruises up higher, and we end up in this little uptrend. So at this point, when you got this swing right here, you could draw off of the lows, attach it to this, and you kind of have this little channel working here. Now, this is the other trade I took, and it's not perfect, but I'll show you. So basically, at this point, we made the new high, and this looks like one more leg up to a new high. And when you have a channel with this type of angle, it's not a strong trend, so you can trade it off of both sides, similar to how a range plays out. So when you have a flat channel, you can trade it the way that you trade a range to some extent. So like basically the point that I'm trying to make is like this. If your channel is like this, it has an upward bias, it's kind of more like a range. If your channel is more like this, you're not looking for shorts because the corrections aren't going to be big enough to take a short. So when it's like this, you're still expecting a new low to be made down here. And so you get this little channel up, and it gives you this first entry, second entry short failure. But basically what happens is it gets a close outside and a new high, pullback, one more leg to a new high. So the way I looked at this was 2 legs to a new high. This up channel has played out, and we get a bearish candle, probably going to trap all these longs who are longing up here. And we're far from the EMA, so it's kind of a mean reversion trade to ride this back to like the midline and the EMA here, similar to taking a short off of a range high, right? It's almost like an angled triple test in a way. This is a little more advanced. So really what you want here for you to be sure is a little lower high, right? Then you could take it with more confidence, but it didn't happen. So this one was decent. And then I trailed my runner above the EMA. I think I got stopped out like, I forget where. I got stopped out like around here. Here, let me see. I'll just show you. I don't remember where I got stopped out. I took a screenshot of it somewhere. Let me see. I took a screenshot and put it in the community. Let me see. It's in here somewhere. Let's find it. Yeah, here was my entry. You can see right below the candle. And then it happened really quickly. Like before I knew it, I was in and out with eight of the contracts got scalped. So I had a runner of 2 contracts, and I moved my stop loss right here just above that EMA. So whatever that is, 62 or 63, 26, 25. So that's where I got stopped out, was 63. Whatever. Let me put I'll put it on the chart. It was right there, this level. So I got stopped out on this move back above the EMA there. I could have probably trailed it down and stopped out here, but whatever. I wanted to give it a little room. And, you know, it makes sense because I was concerned about bouncing off the channel. So I was hoping to get a new low on a runner. But when it did this and gave us a close outside and a new low of this little down channel, and it bounced off the trend, you had to assume it's probably coming higher again, which it did. So it was good to get out of there. It ends up coming up, hitting this high. Then it comes here. You get a close outside, and then this kind of cruises down. Now, we haven't made a new low, and we might not get one now. If we don't make a new low like that and it rejects, we might have a bigger range here. I still thought we were going to get the new low, but look, we're playing with the idea of a new low and not getting it. So what we can do is draw this line on here now and see if this lines up with anything. Kind of lines up with these lows here. Maybe this was turning into more of a range. So we'll draw these lines on here as possibilities. New high. Is the new high made? Let's see. Let's see. Does not look like it. New high would be up here. So I'll put the line there. All right, give me 1 second. I got someone knocking at my door. Hold on 1 second. All right. I am back. Sorry about that. You never know. You never know. Turns out, no. It was just one of my kids knocking on my office door. Well, my dog was barking, so I thought that there was somebody at the actual door, but it was just he was barking because he heard her knocking. He thought someone was here. He was freaking out. Classic. All right, so this makes a move to a new high. Look at how aggressive that is. We can draw this. That's the move to a new high. Pretty aggressive move. So this up channel has played out. Down channel never did. We never got a new low, and we might not. Sometimes if you don't get a new low, you get an aggressive move in the other direction. So be aware of that. All right, so let me see if there's any trades in here because I haven't really marked this. So you get this one, moves down. I wouldn't take this here as anything. I mean, you're looking for a new low to be made. So I wouldn't take a long there, even though that's an tempting looking bar. I wouldn't take it. This is like a triple test off of this level, but again, I just wouldn't take it. I wouldn't take anything in here from what I can see right there. However, there might be a short. I didn't draw this yet, so let me just see. Nah, I mean, I wouldn't take this. It's kind of inside. It's a first entry, second entry short, but it's still, to me, that looks like, I think you'd be stretching the truth if you tried to draw it like this and said this is a close outside new high to take that. I just don't think that that's reasonable. In real time, I'd be looking at that more like that, and I would not take it. So, not going to mark it. So no setups in there. All right. There we go. All right, everybody. If you're here, thanks for joining us this morning. Definitely give the stream a like. We're trying to get to 50 likes. We got 27 right now. We're trying to get to 50. We're trying to get to 52, 55 subscribers as our goals for the stream. We're getting closer, so let's keep cruising. See if we can get it. It's not that many more subscribers. It's only 8 more subscribers. Only 23 more likes. So let's see if we can get it. All right, so let me just talk about some stuff here. I had this up here, so let me explain. In here, in the link tree and in the description, you can learn about my program, $99 a month. This is my paid school community and course. Everything is highlighted in here. You can watch the video to learn more, see some screenshots from the inside, but I'll just show you the inside. In here, we have a calendar, so you can see live daily chart review. That looks like this. It shows you our schedule for live streams and what we're going to be doing. On the 13th, I won't be having a live stream, and that's because I'm going to be traveling that day. So that's in there. And the weekly call that we do on Wednesdays is going to get moved to the next day. So just letting everybody know that. We have a weekly call in here. Those get recorded and put in here, so you can always go back and watch those. My price action course is in here. This is the full course. Everything is in here. Way more comprehensive than what I have available on YouTube. I have a 4-hour course on YouTube that's free, but it has actual sections from in here, but this is a lot more than just 4 hours of content. And so this is my full course, all the rules, everything I do. There's a Start Here course. It's just like an overview of like how to use the community and everything. When you join, you get access to the premium section of my Discord. Yes, I do have a free Discord, but to get the access to the premium channel, then you have to join this, where I post all of these chart updates throughout the entire morning session before we go live. I post them all in here and in Discord, and we have a whole conversation happening in Discord throughout the session. So it's real-time learning. You can see I actually screenshotted some of our conversation and put it in here today just for people to be able to look at it in case they're not following along in Discord. So that's all in there. We have posts every week, questions, Q&A. You can all post in here, and I answer people's questions, so that's all really useful. So that's pretty much all of it. Okay, so let's see here. So there's a first entry, second entry short that failed there. That's a failure. Would you take that failure? Debatable. It's not really off an area where you definitely expect a reversal. It's there. This is a failed second entry short above the EMA. This is the kind that you want to see. All right, hang on one second. Someone's knocking on my door, I think, for real this time. Stop knocking on my door. I told you. All right. Few disturbances today. No big deal. No big deal. That's dad life for you. All right. What I was trying to explain was that there is a new low here, and you could look at this like a first entry, second entry short failure with a bullish bar. It's kind of the type of example I was talking about before, where the signal bar is significant because you're entering before where everyone's short stops are. So you can kind of see that if you measure from the high of this candle. You don't have that much room to everyone's stops. So there is a setup there. We could probably mark it. It's a little bit risky. This is not a guaranteed type of setup, but it's there. And the idea is that you basically just had a triple test and you keep making a little higher low here. And now you got a first entry, second entry short that fails. And you're expecting a new high to be made on that channel still. And that's exactly what it does. Then it gives you a close outside of this channel. And at this point, sorry, first entry. This looks like it's going to give us a second entry, but I would not be taking it. Just because this way this down channel is. Now you might get a failure in the other direction. So let's see, actually. It's not one that you would take because of where it's forming, but we'll see. Oh, here? I would not be taking a short here right now because right now you still need a new high. You might get a new high on this channel. This channel itself was the move to a new high. So you might not get one here. It is a pullback first entry, and now you have a pullback second entry long, higher low. But it could fail here. It could easily turn into a failure and actually go lower. The problem is you're not really looking for a failure to form above the EMA here like that. So it's just an area that I would sit out of trades here. I don't think it's a good place to take one. So you just want to sit out and just be patient here. Yes, there is a higher low. There are some reasons to like a second entry there, but I think you're playing with fire if you take it a little bit, in my opinion, because it's kind of sideways. It's not really a pullback all the way. This little down channel doesn't have a new low yet. I think it's a little bit dicey to take one there. Looks like the long would have worked, but still, you don't always know that, and it's kind of risky. Remember how I said when you bounce off the lows like this a few times, you might reverse in the other direction? We might not get anything lower than this. We might not. So you have to be patient here, because we might just go higher after that big bearish move. Like, this could just be an actual reversal down here, and that might be all we get. So it's one of those dicey zones, because we still need this new low to be made at this low down here, but we didn't get it, and we reversed. So we could turn into a flatter uptrend, and it could keep going. We are not looking at a range, Fraser. I don't know what you mean. Where failed break? I don't see a failed breakout anywhere. What do you? What? Sorry, I don't know what you're talking about, to be honest with you. Failed lower high after failed breakout. We're not trading this right here as a range. This isn't a range, really. I mean, I guess, like, I think maybe what you did is you drew a line like this and treated this like a range, but that wouldn't be enough. I mean, you have 1-2 touches of that. So how would this be a failed breakout? I'm not looking at this as just a range yet, because we're making higher highs here. Like, that was just a move to this channel. I'm not looking at this as a big range. So that's why. Okay, here comes the first entry, second entry long that could fail, like we talked about. But again, not a trade there. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't jump to conclusions, right? You could draw a line there and like be aware of it. But if you just zoom out here, like here, let me just zoom out and I'll show you. This doesn't really look like a range to me. This was a channel up that got a close outside, and now that was the move to a new high. This wasn't a range right here. It's a rangy looking channel, but it's not actually just a sideways range. A range looks more like this, where the highs are pretty consistent, lows are pretty consistent. Now, even this one, it just dumped, so it's not the best range, but you can see, like, this just isn't really a range. Although the lows are holding here, it's not really a range for me. Again, you could draw those. You could draw those, right? You could draw these levels. Like that. Problem is, if you drew that level right there, and you came up to it and just immediately went through it, I wouldn't really be looking at that like this was like a consistent area. Now, maybe if we rejected here, and then we broke through, then maybe I'd look at it more like a failure. Sort of. It's just a, like... It's just, how do I say, like, it's too nuanced for me to try to explain on a live stream, to be honest with you. Like, there's just too much involved. There's too much involved. Like, you kind of have to look at that in the course. Just think of it like this, though. Like, you want the price to be respecting the levels. Even if you draw, like, a small range, you kind of want to see that, right? You still want to see the prices respecting the levels of the highs and lows consistently. And you only will trust a failed breakout if that's the case. But this wasn't really, like, even if this was a failed breakout, it doesn't matter, because the uptrend hasn't had a new high yet from that up channel that broke out. So you still respect the short-term trend lines. You have to respect the trend line rules, even the short-term trend line rules, no matter what. You always respect the short-term trend line rules, even in a range. So that's just another nuance to it. That, like, again, that's all like stuff from the course that you would learn. All right, everybody, please give the video a like, give the stream a like. We're at 29. We're trying to get to 50. We're slacking here. We're slacking. Can we get some more likes? We only have 29 right now. Yesterday, we were able to get 40 likes in like less than an hour. So what are we doing? What are we doing? let's get the stream out there. Let's get to 50. So everybody hit that like button. Everybody subscribe. We only need 7 more subscribers to hit our goal of 52.55 this morning. So let's get it cruising. All right, so a new high is about to be made here on this channel, which means everything will have played out to the upside now. If this gets hit right here, everything will have played out to the upside, and the only thing that hasn't played out is this down channel getting a new extreme. But again, remember, we did make those highs, or those lows, an attempt at a new extreme and failed. When you fail a few times like this is exactly what a triple test is. 1, 2, 3 test failure, boom, it reverses on you. That's why triple tests are so powerful when you get these. But again, it wasn't a good signal bar here. Can't take that one, but it is there. There's also a short-term. There's also some short-term down channels in there that kind of. So anyway, all right, new high made. Up channel has played out. Now, if we're going to reverse, this would be where I start to think that it's probably going to happen. We're not really lined up with any other levels here. Yeah, we're not really lined up with anything else that kind of stands out to me. So this is where I'd expect us to go back down if it's going to happen. So that's a new high. 5 ticks, small bar. No break below. Not a setup that you'd take. You'd have to wait for some sort of confirmation. Excuse me. Whew. Everybody here, welcome. Welcome. Welcome everybody who just hopped in. If you haven't done so already, please give the stream a like. We are sitting at 33 likes right now. We're trying to get to 50. We are at 52, 48 subscribers, and we are trying to get to 52, 55. So let's help us get there so we can have a stream goal celebration, as always. And let me know if you have any questions. Go ahead and drop them in the chat. We had some good discussion today during the trading session in Discord, so thanks to everybody who was there hanging out. As always, the paid community in the premium section of Discord, always a good time. Always a good time. Oh, we bothered somebody. We lost a subscriber and a like there at double time. It happens. It happens. All right, so here comes the new high. This one never got a break below. This one pretty much creates like an engulfing bar. So there's the new high. So close outside. New high has been made. Now, let's see what happens when it tries to go for the second leg here. What might happen here is some sort of a uptrend. Yes, basically, Danny, sort of. So look at it like this. This up channel got to close outside, and this was the new high being made there. When you get but sometimes on the correction itself to make a new high, it creates a little trend channel itself that will also get a close outside new high. So to me, if I zoom out, this looks like everything is played out to the upside. Now, there's no way to really draw a trend line here that would fit anything that makes sense. Like to the upside, right? Like even you could draw maybe off of this low. There could be something here forming that we don't see yet, like some sort of wider secondary channel like that. But it's not really looking like that yet to me. I wouldn't jump to any conclusions. So basically all that we have now is all things have played out to the upside. So what could happen here is this thing now finally does reverse and go down. And you can see this is a close outside new high. And we might get a lower high. Now, is it possible that we form some sort of like a flatter channel like this? Yeah, it's possible. Unlikely, but possible. It's always possible that you form a flatter channel, but it's unlikely to happen. So most likely what will happen here is this will turn into some sort of a bearish candle that will sort of dump down, and we'll end up with some sort of like a downtrend that looks like this. We don't know yet, but we could end up with a really nice looking lower high here that dumps lower. So let's see if it happens here. Basically, you would draw this. You'd have to wait for that to close, but I'll just draw it just to show you. Something like this. We have to wait for this to actually close. No, Fraser, it's fine, man. Yeah, you're right. I'm not gonna give away everything like in the streams. Like I try to give away a lot. I mean, I give away a lot for free. Like there's a free 4-hour course. I do these streams every day. I go over pretty much everything. Even to the extent that like, you know, people can take the course if they want, and then they don't even have to stay in it if they don't want to, and they could still get value from these every day. However, I think that most of the value of the paid community is from the real-time discussion that happens during the morning trading session. That's where a lot of the value is coming from. While you're trading yourself, you have a confirmation of like how to look at things, questions that can be answered, all that. So most of the good stuff comes from that. It comes from our discussion in our premium section of our Discord and in those areas that I was talking about, where, you know, I post the screenshots of the chart and we in school and everything. So I do have a mental checklist of whether a setup is valid or not. But yeah, I'm not gonna give it away. But I do have one. Yes. You learn all that in the course, like everything that I look at. There's just too many things to like call out. It's not like I have them like written on a piece of paper. It's more just like within the context of what's going on, I have specific rules. If falling below the EMO, Danny, it's possible. It just depends. Like I think right here, remember how I said we could form a flat channel? Well, now it's starting to look like we might. It actually is looking like we might form a flat channel here. So basically what we have to start to consider, if it keeps making new highs here, then we have to start considering that we have like a flatter, like a less steep channel. Maybe something like this. Or from like one of these areas like this. We might have like some sort of spike in channel pattern. We don't know for sure yet. Gene, the way that I do it, again, it's the same. So basically, and that's why I have that whole thing for you, that I made that thread still for you to check it out. So in here, every morning, I'm posting all the screenshots from what's going on, right? I post the same things in the premium Discord, but in Discord, it just makes it easier for everyone to chat back and forth or for you to share screenshots or whatever. So it's the same thing that's in here. It's just there's more discussion happening in Discord. So that's what you're missing out on right now. It's not like a separate stream or anything like that. And in order to get access, you just have to get your Discord account set up and then let me know so I can add you to it. And so that's what I'm still waiting on from you. And if like you still have trouble with it, just join the Zoom call that we're having tomorrow after the stream with the paid community. Just join the Zoom call tomorrow And we can try to figure it out on the Zoom call if we need to. Like you can even share your screen on it, and I can try to walk you through some of it if necessary. So that's in the calendar. You'll see that. Go to the calendar right here. Tomorrow we have a Zoom call at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So just join that, and we'll work it out. All right, well, there you go. One leg to a new high, second leg to a new high. This is not a down channel. Second leg to a new high. So we made two legs up to a new high. So at this point, this is like a larger 2 legs to a new high. Which, could you short that? Yes, you could. But it's always going to be a slightly risky prospect to do that. This would be a similar to the setup I wrote over here with 2 legs to a new high. It's a close outside, and it's 2 legs to a new high. I don't know if they're measured. They look kind of measured. You got 1 leg. Yeah, it actually is. It's 2 legs to a new high. See that? So that would be one where you could call this 2 legs to a new high. It's not perfect. Not a perfect setup. Also, you do have to be alarmed by the fact that we keep making these like higher highs, higher lows. So remember, I said that there might be a flatter channel forming, something like this, but you know, that looks like a janky looking channel. Might be wider. So we just got to be patient. We got to wait to see what this gives us here. This is kind of the final straw here. If it does a lower high and dumps, then the up move has pretty much played out. But if it bounces again and then makes another high, then we have to assume that there's a wider pattern that has formed, right? So we could start to draw those. I don't love that because it misses a lot of touch points. So what I would do here is maybe consider from one of these areas. That seems to fit a little bit better. Whoops, I didn't mean to click. Something like that is kind of what I mean. Like we're forming like a flatter up channel here, possibly. So if this might hold, we don't know for sure, but that might hold. That's kind of what I meant. So let's see if it holds or not. And then I'll just delete the channel if this just comes right through, because it's probably not, because that would have meant that this is just 2 legs to a new high. But again, that's why that's risky there, right? That's risky. You don't have a real confirmation there. It would have, I think it would have worked. I didn't measure it, but it looks like it would have worked. Yeah, it would have worked. Whoops. But not ideal. Oh, Daryl, you asked, if a lower high had formed with a nice bearish bar, would you have considered it? Yeah, I think so. I think it would have been fine to take that, like, if it formed. The only problem is it was getting too close to this EMA where we might bounce. So I would have liked it better if it formed with room to the EMA or below the EMA. And then I would have considered it as a possibility there. Even here, if you get a nice lower high, it's a possibility, but you can see the way this is all forming. To me, it's not looking like there's a wider channel now, with depending on how this goes right here. There's no lower high there that you can take, though. You just get an inside bar, bullish bar, and then an inside bar for your... So this is your lower high. So not ideal. So unfortunately, it's one of those areas where there's just no real setup here, so we just got to sit through it. Okay, let's see. If you're here and you have not liked the stream yet, please give the stream a like. We're trying to get to 50. 50 for the stream goal. We're trying to get to 52, 55 subscribers, so we still need 8 to get there. So if you can subscribe, please do so. If you want to learn more about our stuff, I got some free resources on YouTube. You can go to my YouTube channel, go to videos, and if you go down, you'll find my Ninja Trader course, or Ninja Trader setup guide. You'll find my 4-hour price action course right here, free course. Bunch of other resources, stream recaps, everything is all in here. There's a free trading Discord, TikTok and Instagram. And then, of course, you can learn how to become a price action trader right here. So this is all in here. I'm not going to go through everything, but it's all there. If you want to learn everything I do, full access to the course, all that, it's all in there. And I think earlier I was mentioning the biggest value of what I'm doing with the school community is, again, the live discussion that's happening throughout the trading session, being able to follow along on the charts, because that's where all the learning is really happening, is trading yourself in real time after you go through the course, trading yourself in real time, but then having a verification of if you're looking at the market the right way, getting real-time feedback on the market. I think that's what's so good about it for learning. And I know some people agreed with that in the chat before. All right, let's see. We're at 36 likes. We're getting close. We're getting close to 50. All right, so we got the lower high here, but this is just not great. So I don't think there's any real way to draw a flatter channel here. So I think we do have to assume that that was 2 legs to a new high. And now we just got to see what happens here. Because we have a first entry long. This is going to form a possible second entry long. We'll see what happens here. All right. Hey, Khan. Good to see you in the chat there. Good to see you. If you got questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat, fam. And Fraser, if you're still here, let me know if you have any questions about just like, you know, what's in school. If you want me to show anything there, just let me know. All right, so first entry long. Now this is going to break below. Let's see what we get. Today was definitely the exercise of patience. I marked every single trade today as a green arrow trade. I don't have any that I marked as like a super sure thing, red arrow or blue arrow, so I do want to be clear about that. These days are going to happen sometimes. Like, none of the setups today were like what I would consider completely ideal. You know, this one was close. The first trade I took was close to ideal, but there was a couple of reasons that it wasn't perfect that I already explained. So that'll happen from time to time. That doesn't mean that there won't be better setups later or something like that, but just wanted to be clear about that. Nah, I wouldn't take a second entry long here. I just don't think that that channel was really reliable. I don't really see this as an up channel here. I don't really see a way to draw this that would make this a reliable up channel. If anything, I feel like we're going to get a failure here. So what I think is probably going to happen here, and I could be wrong, of course. I don't mind if I'm wrong. There is a possibility that they're finding some support right there. But what I think is probably going to happen is a first entry long pullback, second entry long that fails. That's what I actually think is going to happen here. Now, again, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. So above this bar will be a second entry long. This is one of those ones that I talked about earlier, where if you were entering, you have to wait for it to break higher first. And then, because all the people who are long, they're putting their stops below these levels. But again, it's not going to set up for us. Never mind. It still trapped those longs, but It didn't give us a failure. So you can see that right there. It didn't break above. Bear with me 1 second. I got a quick call that I got to take. Hello? Hello? Let me take a quick look. I think that should be fine. Let me just look real quick. Yeah, that should be fine. So bring them in at 1. All right, I got it. That's fine. All right, thank you. Bye. All right, everybody, sorry about that. I had a quick call that I had to take. Okay, so let's see here. Yeah, so looks like we didn't get a setup in here. Down channel's a little bit bigger. I was thinking here, first entry long pullback. This would have been a nice failure because it would have been below the EMA. It would have broke higher and reversed, and then it would have stopped everyone out, and you could have rode that lower. So that would have been a really nice failure to take, but we just didn't end up with one. So hopefully that made sense to everybody what I was talking about. Fraser, you're interested in the actual rules. Yeah, for sure, Fraser. I mean, look, man, like I say, it's a month-to-month membership, so there's really no, like, I will say this, though. Like, if you join with the intention of only doing a month, it's not really the best choice because any trading system and strategy takes months to learn and master, and trading takes a long time to master. So having like ongoing support is really crucial. And for only 99 bucks a month, I mean, it's like kind of to me, it's like a no-brainer. Like, it's what I wish I would have had when I was earlier on. I would have saved myself a lot of pain. That's the way I look at it. All right. Let me see. Matt, no, I wasn't trying to talk smack. Matt. Hopefully you didn't take that the wrong way. I was just saying, for me, we already made 2 legs to a new high, and then we made a lower high. So this would be like a second lower high. That would be a failure to go back. And remember, I was saying after this move, this was our last attempt here. And if we don't go higher, we're probably going lower, right? So everything has played out to the upside. You guys heard me say that a bunch. Where's the first entry on the long? Right here. New high, pullback. So this was the first entry right there. This was the first entry right here. And then the second entry would have been here, but it didn't happen. It didn't break higher. So there's no failure there at all. Now, this is technically the second entry right here. So we have a new high, pullback, first entry, pullback, second entry. This is actually a second entry long right here. That's probably going to fail. But now it's not looking as good because it's not off of anything, right? Like, it's not off the EMA. We already just bounced off the bottom of this channel. It's not looking like now where you'd want to take the short. Yes, it's there. This is looking like a failure. This bar is pretty small. It's only 8 ticks. But this is not the same type of setup that we were looking for. Because this is one of those ones where if you entered this, there's always a risk of a higher low forming. Now, it's probably going to work. Like, it's probably going to work. So basically, below this bar, you could enter this as a failed second entry long. The problem is, again, all the people who are long have their stop losses down here. And so what could happen when you enter these is you could end up coming a little lower and getting a higher low, and then you get trapped. That's why these aren't the most ideal types of failures right there. Oh, yeah, Matt. Yeah, totally. Totally, yeah. All right, so there it goes. Failure in place, and that's the one that I just talked about. You don't need that much room for this to scalp, so there it is. I mean, that's a failure right there. First entry, second entry long failure. But again, remember I said it's not really ideal. Like that's one that's like, that's one that it is an area where you expect it to keep going lower, but it's not off of like the channel or anything. So it's a little bit risky to take that right there. You know what I mean? Like that is risky. It's one of those ones that I'm reluctant to even mark that one because I wouldn't take that. I wouldn't take that. So I don't want to mark that one, but it is there. It's just not off of like the channel or the EMA or anything like that. So it's dicey there, right? It could easily just go sideways on you and you can get trapped in be trapped in the position and end up in some sort of congestion or whatever, you know? So it does look like it's going for the lows here. Everybody, let's get some more likes. Cruise in. Let's get some more likes. We're at 36. We're trying to get to 50 for the stream goal today. If you just joined, please hit that like button on the stream so we can get above 36 and get us to 50 for our goal. Please subscribe to the channel. We only need 7 more subscribers to get to 52, 55, which is our goal for the day. So let's get it cruising, everybody. If you got questions, drop them in the chat. I think we're going to go for these lows again. We're going to probably find some support at the first one, but who knows here. This thing looks like it's gaining some strength now. Is this a tighter channel? Maybe it's more like this. Something like that. Might be like that. A little steeper. My guess is that we're coming down to tap this level and then going from there. So you can see if I zoom out where we're going. We're trying to make these lows, this lower blue line. But the first line is where we found some support before. So that's our first target. And then we go below that. Just going to zoom it in a bit so that the candles are a little bigger for us. All right, there we go. And we'll see. We'll see if we can get there. I hope everybody's having an amazing week. Really do. Oh, I got a question in. What was my reasoning? Huh? Oh, I see. That wasn't my trade. Hey, Nick, are you in the, let me see if he's in the live stream so I can answer him direct. All right, sorry, I'm just answering somebody in my paid community real quick. All right, everybody here. Okay, yeah, no problem. All right, let me let him know real quick. All right, cool. He was driving. He was heading home. He was on his way home. There we go. Okay, sweet. All right, I just wanted to answer him real quick. All right, cool. If anybody has any questions, drop them in the chat. We got 42 people here. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. 42 people on stream right now. We're trying to get to 50 likes. If you're new and you just joined and you did not like yet, please like the stream so we can get ourselves to our goal of 50. I don't know why it's so hard for us to get there today, but I think we will. So let's get a few more likes in the stream. If you haven't subscribed, please do so we can get to 52, 55. I stream every single weekday at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time. So I've already been streaming for over an hour, and I do this every weekday. So you can definitely subscribe and hit the bell notification. That way you'll know whenever I'm going live. That's the way to do it. We are reversing somehow here out of this trend. So this is interesting. Let's see where this closes so I can finish drawing my trend line here. That is a steep correction. Wow. So we do need a new low on this down channel now, and we still need a new low on the day down here. So let's see what happens here. Yeah, for sure. I'll tell you. This is the ES futures market. So if you look here at the top, ES futures, that's what I trade. ES, the S&P 500 futures on the 2,000 tick chart. So every one of these candlesticks is 2,000 ticks, which means 2,000 trades. So hopefully that makes sense. And by the way, you're welcome, Shelly. Sorry, I forgot to say you're welcome. Everybody here, thanks for giving us a like. Thanks for subscribing. We're getting close to our goal. We only need 6 more subscribers to hit our stream goal to get to 52, 55. So we're almost there, and then we'll have a goal celebration. Also, we only need 50 likes, so we only need 8 more likes to get our goal celebration. I know everybody's waiting for it. We haven't been having as many goal celebrations because I had a short stream yesterday, so we only had 1 goal celebration. I think Friday we missed our target. But that's okay. Getting close. Getting close. And Ayush, what do you typically trade? Let me know in the chat. Everybody that's in here, let me know what you typically trade. Here, you know what? I can probably do a poll. Let's do a poll. Start a poll. Start a poll. Let's see. I've never tried the Q&A thing because I just tell people to ask in the chat anyway. But maybe I'll try that at some point. You can like do a Q&A thing in here. But let's just here. You know what? Let's actually try it. Let's try it. Let's see what this thing does. Start a Q&A. No, that's just no, never mind. That's a weird feature. All right. I'm going to ask some questions here. All right, we're asking a real simple question. There's only a few options here. Here, let me. Can I add another option? I can only add a few options, so I thought I could add more. All right, we're starting a poll. The question is, what do you typically trade? ES futures, NQ futures, Forex, or other? Let me know in the chat, in the poll. Everybody, please let me know in the poll. Vote in the poll so that we can see who we got here today. I know that I can't give the best options. Like I wanted to put options in there. I wanted to put like other futures markets, but I only get 4 options. So I just had to do it like that. So such is life. We'll go with that. We might do a follow-up poll. We'll see. All right, Fraser, you're asking, what do I think about a possible wider bull channel drawn from the triple bottom? Okay, let's take a look. I don't love a channel. I can already just tell you just with my eyeballs, that it's probably not my favorite, but I'll draw it anyway just to see. I drew this earlier as a possibility, but this is kind of a ridiculous channel because you basically would have to draw it probably like this. You'd have to draw it like that. And even if that channel's in play, this is one of those flat channels that you could treat kind of like a range anyway. I just don't really like that. I don't really like that. So it's not for me. Okay, Daryl, ES, you flirted with crude oil on a 500 tick chart. You know, that's funny because, Daryl, I used to trade crude oil on a 400 tick chart. So there you go. The 400 tick chart at the time of crude oil was kind of matching up to the 2000 tick ES chart. That's why I was trading the 400 tick. That was years ago though, so I don't know what it matches up to now. Maybe that's why you said 500. Maybe that matches up close. But I don't mess with it anymore. I just trade the ES. It's not worth it to look at other charts for me. I will say there is one thing about crude oil that is nice, and that is that the market starts to move 30 minutes earlier than the ES market. So what some traders do is they trade commodities or they trade things like crude oil only for like first 30 minutes. They see if they get a setup and then they just switch to ES after. But I just think it's confusing, but it is a strategy. It definitely is a strategy. You know, I think that it's better to just trade ES and get a pre-market trade. So that's my take. But hey, you know, Matt's over here. Matt trades Pokemon cards. Shout out to Matt for trading Pokemon cards. Shout out to Matt for going to stores, buying them out, and reselling them on eBay. We know you're doing it. We know it's you who's doing this. My kids complain about this being a thing. People go to the stores, buy all the Pokemon cards, and resell the packs on eBay without opening them first. Apparently that's a thing. I didn't know about this. But when I went to, I took one of my sons and his friend to Canada back in June, and they wanted his friend wanted to like buy some Pokemon cards, and like every store that we were going to was like, yeah, sorry, we're sold out, and I was like, what? Like, what do you mean you're sold out? And then like they told me, oh, there's people who just go through and buy everything and then resell it. I'm like, that is the most cheesy way I've ever heard of to make money. I'm like, what is this, Pogs in the 90s? Reminds me of, who knows? Shout out to anybody who knows about Pogs in the 90s. Shout out to me for revealing my age. Yes, I'm not that young. All right. Anyway. All right, Dusty, you trade NQ and options. Okay. Okay. All right, so it looks like... Okay, we can conclude this poll here. It looks like the bulk of everybody... From what I can see here, I'm trying to end the poll. I don't know why it's not working. Did it work? There we go. It looks like the bulk of everybody trades ES, but a lot of you do trade NQ. So that's interesting. That's interesting. Matt, you know about Pogs. Keep it funky. Keep it funky. Oh, Danny had the slammers. Danny, I know you were one of those guys that had the super thick slammers that just obliterated everybody's stack. Dude, it got way cheesy because at first the slammers were just these little slammers. Then all of a sudden they started coming out these slammers that were like 1.5 inches thick. And I'm just like, well, that just ruins the game. I remember I had the Beavis and Butthead Pog. That was pretty dope. We used to have a place nearby my house that sold Pogs and baseball cards. that was back then, man. Back then. If nobody knows what we're talking about, then you missed out on some important things in the 90s. Okay? Important things in the 90s. Important fads. The 90s, I would say the 90s are one of the best eras for being able to determine that fads were going to become a thing. I know that there's fads from every era and whatnot, but I feel like the 90s had these like little like fads that would last like that for a little while. And it just kind of translates to every generation. Because then I remember like when my kids were starting to get older and they started to have all these little fads. Oh, fidget spinners and all these other little things that started to come out. All right. So everybody in the chat, the people that said that you trade mainly NQ, let me know your reasoning. What is your reason that you mainly trade NQ and not ES? Let me know. No stupid answers here. I just want to know so that I can talk about it with everybody. So why do you choose to trade NQ and not trade ES? Is there a reason? Is it just something that you started doing randomly when you found out about futures trading and you just never traded ES? Do you know what ES is? Just anything in the chat, just go ahead and throw it in there because I want to talk about it. I want to have a conversation around this poll because a lot of people said they trade NQ, and I just want to know like what your reasoning is and like where that came from. Oh yeah, marbles. Yeah, Danny, marbles are sick. I remember when my oldest son was younger, we got a marble track, and we used to make some crazy stuff on that marble track. Good times. Looks like we got 44 likes. Everybody here, please hit that like button. We are trying to get to 50. We only need 6 more likes to hit our goal. I know some of you here have probably not hit the like yet, and we're trying to get to 50, so let's go. I think that we need 6 more subscribers. We're at 5249, so let's go, fam. Come on. We're trying to get there. We got to get there. We've been streaming for a while here, and we are still not even there. This is just preposterous. Preposterous. Okay, so you guys are going to make me do it. You're going to make me do it. You guys are going to make me do it. Nobody knows what I'm doing, but they're going to make me do it. So let's see. So tell me, everybody that's in the chat, why do you trade NQ instead of ES if you're still here? Let me know. Let me know. This is my response to the crickets in the chat right now. This is my response to we had like 30-something% of the people vote that they trade NQ, and nobody's telling me why they trade NQ over anything else. Even if the answer is just because, like, just something. Give your boy something here. Bueller. Oh man. Good times. Good times. Okay, Gene, that makes sense. At least that's something. That's something. You used to trade it because you liked the fact that it would move faster. There's more volatility there. So that's all good stuff. Definitely makes sense. And it does. Same thing with crude oil. It just is. There's some high volatility there. So you're going to get movement. You don't have to be patient. I will say that's one of the biggest problems, though, isn't it? You don't have to be patient. Because the thing really is, one thing I've noticed with NQ is that most of the time it has the same setups as ES if you're patient, but there's just more false signals because of the volatility that allow you to possibly take a trade and get away with one. I always call it getting away with one, right? If you take a trade where it goes in your favor, but you were actually wrong about the move. So like it fills your trade and you were wrong about the move, and because there's volatility, you succeed in the trade. You got away with one, right? You didn't really get a good setup. And so that's an important delineation too, because you'll be thinking that you're catching all these possibilities, scalping and all that until you're wrong. And on that chart, man, it hurts real bad when you're wrong. Yeah, the ES is definitely more steady. The candles are pretty steady in terms of their size. So one thing I like about the ES is that your stop losses are going to be a relatively consistent size. Like, sure, there might be a bar like this one that's 18 ticks, and then you might have a bar that's 8 ticks, so that's going to be pretty different. But like, it's not like NQ where you'll have like a 15 tick bar and then you'll have like a 48 tick bar. Like the thing that happens over there a lot is that you have to adjust your position size sometimes just to be able to deal with the variability and stop losses. Like, for example, if we're trading on a day like today with this ATR, your stop loss, we don't have to change our position size throughout the whole day. Our stop losses might be slightly different. Like, we might have a trade where we have an 8 tick stop loss and one that we have like a 12 tick stop loss, and that is a variability. But we don't really have to change our position size for that. It's not like we're taking an 8 tick stop loss trade and then like a 24 tick stop loss trade, right? We're not doing that. If we were going to have to do that, you could adjust your position size. With NQ, you're constantly having to change your position size to account for the huge variance and how big of a stop you're trading with. And that actually just adds another layer of complexity to what you're doing. You have to create a whole bunch of extra ATM strategies just to be able to handle it so that you can automatically and dynamically change your position size. I just don't like that. I just think it makes it inconsistent, makes it harder to manage, changes the flow of like what it looks like when you're in a trade. Like, for example, let's say you take a trade with 10 contracts on the ES. You know what it looks like when it moves 4 ticks. You know what it looks like when it moves 6 ticks. Now imagine that the volatility is changing so aggressively that you have to take a 5 contract trade, and then an 8 contract trade, and then a 10 contract trade, and then a 4 contract trade. Well, as it moves, your position size is different, so it's going to feel and look different while you're in the trade based on how it's moving. That's complex to deal with psychologically as a trader. So that's something that happens to NQ traders, is that they have to constantly be changing their position size to account for that volatility, unless they're just totally being irresponsible, right? So I think that that's an extra variable element that makes the psychology more challenging. It's the same thing on crude oil. It's like sometimes the volatility spikes can be so enormous that you have to change your position size, and it just feels different when you're in a 2 contract trade versus a 4 contract trade, and you have to just like try to train your brain to deal with that variance and deal with like, okay, now that I'm in this 2 contract trade, I'm going for a higher target because of the volatility, and it's like you have to train your brain to be able to deal with that more. And it's an extra layer of complexity, I think, when you're trading those in high volatility assets. I'm not a fan of that. It's like, for me, it's like I want to reduce the amount of hurdles that I have to deal with mentally as a trader. All right, everybody, let's see. Can we get a few more likes? Can we get a few more likes? We are at 44. So we only need 6 more to hit our target. We only need 6 more to hit our target. Can we do it? Whoops. Did not mean to open that. We only need 5 more subscribers to hit our target, so that's cool. That's pretty cool. We like that. We do like that. All right, let's see here. Let's see here. Someone just joined the paid school community. Shout out to you. Appreciate you. Appreciate you for joining. That's cool. If anybody wants to learn more about it, go into the link tree or in the description, and you can click on this. You can see $99 a month, and you can join the paid school community. You can see now it says 49. So someone just joined. So shout out to you. Thank you. Appreciate you. And you can get all the information in here. Everything is in here. Everything I do to trade the way that I do is in there. We also have our free stuff in Discord and YouTube and everything in there too. So check it all out. If you got questions, drop them in the chat, fam. Drop them in the chat. We're so close in the paid community to having 50 members, but I know that there's always there's people who do come and go, so we'll see. But we're getting closer. We only need 5 more likes to hit our target. It's like 5 more likes and 5 more subscribers to hit both targets, and we are just struggling to get there today. Just struggling. Let's see. I got a question from somebody in my paid community, so I'm just going to respond real quick in chat while I wait to see if any more questions come through. All right, there we go. Just have to respond to a couple of quick messages. No big deal. There he is. Red Candles. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well today. Haven't seen you in a minute, so hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully you're having a good trading week. Red Candles is our one of our token NQ traders. I think so, right? You're mostly an NQ trader, is that right? We were just having a discussion. I was trying to ask people why they choose NQ over ES. We had a little discussion about it. Oh, you're not. You're not. I thought for some reason, why did I think you were an NQ trader? I don't remember. Nope, you need a win. Oh, yeah. Oh, you mean you're not having a great week. Ah, sorry, man. Sorry, man. Sorry to hear that, my brother. You know what? If you just came over to the ES, man, if you just came over to the ES, you might find what you're looking for. You might just find what you're looking for, fam. Red Candles is I love Red Candles for joining because he's our token NQ trader, and he knows that I always do a couple a little of these to NQ traders. Look, I think NQ is fine as long as you got a strategy that works for you and you understand the extreme volatility and how to play that, right? Similarly, I just got a question from somebody from my paid community that asked me about, what do I think about trading a smaller tick size, right? What do I think about trading a 1K tick chart, right? Or a 1200 tick chart or whatever. And I've tested them, and here's the problem. When you lower the tick amount, you're going to have more false signals because you're going to see more micro movements in the swings. You have to know that you're seeing a micro movement and not take it as seriously, right? It almost requires more skill to trade with a lower tick amount, in my opinion. It almost requires that. It definitely requires you to have an understanding of that it's what moves to take seriously and what ones not to in the little swings of the movement. Just like you have to understand the nuance on the 2K, the nuance is way harder to deal with on the smaller tick time frames. It's not really that different than trading a high volatility asset. If you trade a high volatility asset, it's the same idea. You have to understand that nuance of that extreme volatility, and that can create problems as a trader. Just like trading with a smaller tick size on ES can create a lot of problems as a trader. So that's just my take on it. It's harder, in my opinion, to read the price action on the very, very small time frame like that. So any smaller than 2,000, you start to run into a few issues. You can do it. You just start to run into issues. Now, if you start going lower than 1,000, then I just think that you're just going to have an extremely difficult time. And Red Candles, who knows, man? You could always try it out on demo and see. Yeah, I agree, Matt. If you trade NQ with this strategy, it works. You just have to understand that there's a little bit more nuance in how you play the stop losses and what you consider a second entry in a swing. Because on the NQ, one tick lower is not really, you can't really consider that part of the swing. On the ES, when it ticks one tick, it's more significant than on the NQ when it ticks down one tick. So on the NQ, you have to almost like look at it more like, okay, it needs to tick a few ticks for me to treat that like how I would on the ES with one tick, right? That's a nuance that you just have to understand. We might not hit our target today. We're losing people here. Where are we at? Where are we at? We need some more people to hop in. All right. I just got a message from somebody, but I can't listen. All right, let's see here. We're coming back up to these possible highs that we could reject. At this point, this is just looking super sideways. There's just not much to this. I still think we want to come down and test these lows. I know, for real. We are slacking today. We're slacking. We need 5 more likes to get to 50. That's our stream goal. We need 5 more subscribers to get to 52, 55, which is also our stream goal. So let's go. Everybody in the stream, in the chat, please give us a like so we can get to 50. We're so close here. We're so close here. We definitely have some new people that just hopped in, so let's go, everybody. Let's go. Let's go. Hit that like button. Let's get us to 50 so we can have a little goal celebration. Almost the season for me. One of my favorite seasons when Liverpool matches start up again. Thanks, Red, for smashing that like. Thank you. Everybody smash that like. We only need 4 more likes to get that goal hit. 4 more likes to go. Oh no, here he comes. Here he comes to start some trouble. All right, this is actually a good question. All right. So you said, why are NQ traders so salty when I say ES is just more stable? Honestly, I don't know if it has something to do with people's ego getting in the way or wanting to feel like they're right. I think a lot of it has to do with ego, right? Like, because it's just, you can't even argue with that argument that like ES is objectively more stable than NQ. It just is. If you just pull up the charts side by side, it 100% is more stable. The ES has higher volume and lower volatility. Therefore, it is more stable. It also has a more diversified class of assets. It's not just tech stocks. So definitionally, it's going to be more stable. But people get mad at me when I talk about it, and I think it's because they don't want to feel like they're trading something that is risky. People want to feel like they're making the right decision all the time, even when it's not really the best decision. Now, you can be an NQ trader and be extremely profitable and amazing at trading and maybe do a lot better than other people who are trading ES and everything else. But that's going to be a minority of traders. For most people, trading a more stable asset just works better. And think about like long-term investing, right? If you're going to buy a more stable asset, like the entire S&P index, right? The S&P 500. We know that on average it grows at something like what, 8% a year, something like that. So it's a relatively stable long-term investment. Or like the US 30, like the top 30 companies is a pretty stable investment overall. But if you start getting penny stocks, sure, you might have 100% growth. You might have 50% growth instead of 8%. But it's more risky, right? So that's the trade-off. When you're trading something more volatile, it is more risky by definition. So that's just an important thing to note. Now, there are things that are more stable to trade than the ES. Like you could trade the YM, right? The YM. You could trade that. there's things that are more stable that have, but their volatility on those is so low that it's hard to really be an effective scalper. The ES is just that perfect balance of high volume and decent volatility. So that's why I like it. It also has a lower leverage amount or lower leverage requirement. The margin requirement is half what NQ would be, or crude oil or whatever. Classic Howard. Shout out to you for coming in with the heat. All right. Okay, cool. So Matt, this is actually a pretty sweet question. I like that. So let me show you here. So Matt's question is, what levels do I set up on my chart before the day starts and also during, not the channels, but the actual levels? Well, let me show you an actual real life example. So what I'm going to do is pull up school, pull up today, and show you what I was actually posting throughout the trading session. So this will help you see that. So this is pre-market. What time? There's no timestamp on it, but this was pre-market right here. So I can tell you that the first screenshot I took was around 5:50 a.m. or so. So let me go back and I'll show you again. So it looked like this, right? All I had was a range from the lows and the highs, and then I had my little trend lines drawn. So that's what my chart literally looked like when I started this morning. That's what it is. And then as we go, we look here, and you can see that I kept it the same. And then later on, when we made these lows down here, still kept it the same. And then eventually, somewhere down here, I moved my lows a little lower, right? And I'm showing this throughout to my paid community. They're able to see this as every time that I'm changing my chart, I start posting screenshots of it. And you can see I'm adding trend lines. I mark off the news, so there's not actual levels here. Now, this dotted brown line is yesterday's close, so you can see that I always have marked. The yellow line is just where the price opened. It's really not important most of the time. Let me scroll down even more. And then occasionally, I will mark an actual level. So you can see here I have a measured move target from the range, a measured move. So you can see that is a level that I marked. At some point I drew another measured move, and you can see the level down here. So that's pretty much it. I'm not really marking like a lot of levels. This is actually what I did today, how I looked at it. Then we had the downtrend. We hit our measured moves, both of them. So then I didn't really have anything marked. I did call out some other stuff in here. I eventually did draw a line up here of hey, we might come back to this level, and I marked it. So I marked that as it came. I'll mark those as possible areas that could turn into ranges, and then I'll remove them if they don't. And then there's one of the trades I took. This was eventually the final one before the stream started. So I just do it like that. So hopefully that answers the question pretty thoroughly. And that's pretty much how I do it. It's all in the paid community every day. Now, it's always going to vary. If we're having more of a range day, I might draw more levels at different areas. These levels I drew as just levels that developed as the price action came. The bottom one is just the low of the day. This one is where we had that triple test. So I'll keep those on the chart. I'll draw this high up here as a possible area that we might reject off of those closes. Pretty much like that. Pretty much like that. Red candles. Hey. There we go. Hey, ES is more stable, and it also is slower than NQ. That is actual facts. I'm not going to dispute it because it's true. It's true. But that's fine, right? That's fine. If I was a stock trader, I wouldn't trade penny stocks. And I also wouldn't trade Nvidia. I would trade something more stable. That's just the way I would do it, right? Oh, classic. Hey, actually, shout out to that movie. I actually watched Happy Gilmore 2 on Netflix the other night. Honestly, I thought it was pretty good. It was ridiculous, of course, which I expected, but I thought it was pretty good. Was it amazing? No, but I thought it was pretty good. All right, we only need 3 more likes to hit our goal. Everybody smash the like button. We only need 3 more likes to hit our goal. We only need 5 more subscribers. Likes are more likely. All right. Let's get the countdown going. Countdown. Everybody smash the like on the countdown. We're going to start from 10. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Smash that like, smash that like, smash that like. We only need one more to hit our goal. Let's go, let's go, let's go. We're so close. We're so close. Are we going to get it? How are we going to be stuck at 49? We're getting trolled. We are getting trolled. Oh, classic. Classic. Okay, Fraser, good question. Countdowns make me anxious too, because then it's like then we get to this point where, oh, we lost a like. Shout out to you. All right. So, Fraser, it's like this. When you join and you're in here, inside the community, we have a trading questions list. There's also wins. You can post your wins, take screenshots of your trades, whatever you want to do. Talk about things that you accomplished. I encourage everybody to use the community all the time and post questions, and I come back with thorough answers. So you can always filter for those things. And this is your place to ask questions and to go through things. You can see some wins here, some stuff on Discord, some questions, different stuff there. So you can always ask questions in here and get support from me. Also on Discord, you can ask questions in the premium section and get my responses. And I actually will send voice memos sometimes as responses. In here, if you post a question, if there's a reason to, I can respond with a Loom. So sometimes I'll respond with a Loom video, like a personal Loom video. So that's also helpful. Every week on the calendar, there's a call. So if you join actually before tomorrow, you can join the call. We have a live stream, a live Zoom call every week. And the next one is tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific time. It's a 1 hour long scheduled call. You can join that every week. It's a Zoom call. You don't have to have your camera on if you don't want, or your microphone. You can just ask questions in the chat. But it allows you to also ask me questions just over voice. So those all get recorded. So that's personalized support. We do those every single week. They all get recorded and put in here. So even if you can't make it, you can get support. And what I've started doing is, I actually think, let me see, is it in there? So what I'll do, and I'll actually just show you in real time. So tomorrow's call will be August 6th, 2025. And we'll do like Q&A, call questions, right? And so what we'll do here, I do this every week before I'll just do it right now so you can see what I do. Please submit any questions you want answered on the Zoom call tomorrow in this thread. And then basically what this does is it allows people to submit questions. Even if they can't make it to the call, they can submit questions and I'll still answer them on the call with like my chart and everything. So you get full support that way. And then of course, you know, if you send me a message, I'm going to reply. Like there's a lot of support there. So that's how that works. And yeah, it's very comprehensive. Like even right now, somebody just sent me a voice memo. So I'll listen to that later and give a reply. I encourage everybody to use the community because it helps everybody, of course, when I can respond to questions there. And then they live inside of our school community forever. And the cool thing about that is you can literally search within the school community for stuff and it will bring up like stuff in the courses, stuff in the community. There's so much there. It's really cool. There's actually a few things that I'm going to be enhancing there too soon. Awesome, Fraser. Awesome. Yeah, looking forward to having you in there, brother. All right, let's see. So, okay, so let's see. We got a question here from Red Candles. Do ES traders ever use divergence with NQ like you do with ES? No. definitely, I don't know of any that do that, but you know, who knows? Like, I mean, I think the way it goes, like, there's some people who use like the ES and the NQ to like compare them to each other for taking trades. I just don't see the point. I don't see the point. Like, they're moving at almost the same time. So I just don't think that you can realistically use that as an edge. But that's my opinion, right? That's my opinion. Yeah, red candles. That'll be cool once you get there. It's an amazing thing. Doing this every day. It's so rewarding. I'm so grateful for it. Man, I can't express enough how much I just love being able to just do this each day, and then like literally like hang out on these streams and just talk to all of you. Just makes my day. I love it. I love talking to my paid community. It's so good. And like, I will say really is overall a lonely career. So I personally think having a community like ours is amazing. Like, I really wish, like, it's funny because like, I know that like I have an incentive, right, to tell you about how good my community is because I get a little bit of money from it. But it's not like a huge amount. Like, I charge $99 a month, right? It's not anything crazy. But the thing is, like, as unbiased as I could be on it, I truly wish it's what I had when I started. I really wish I had a community of people learning the same strategy, talking to each other, being able to ask questions from someone doing it. Just having that, like, getting to know other traders and like, you know, over time, it's going to be such a cool thing. And by the way, there is some stuff I'm working on in the background for the paid community that's going to be really amazing. Like, I'm working on a combination of a few things. I'm working on some extra resources that are going to be coming out in the near future. I'm also working on some tools that are going to be coming out, tools for like NinjaTrader and stuff like that, that'll make things way more simple. And I'm working on some other enhancements to the course and the community itself in school. And all of these enhancements that I'm working on are not going to be like anything crazy. They're going to be like anything that's crazy. Basically, what I'm trying to say is they're just going to be things that improve the experience overall for everyone who's already having a good experience. So it's a really cool thing. Like, I'm working on all this stuff in the background to just keep making it better. So I'm looking forward to that because a lot of you who are in the paid community are going to be seeing some really cool stuff coming out in the coming weeks and months, and I'm just really excited for it. All right, let me see something here. We got Howard coming in hot. We still need one like. Guys, if you're here and you have not given us the final like, somebody hit that. Somebody hit that. Go! Dude, that was one of the best ones yet. Just because the way that happened right when I was talking. Oh, shout out to everybody. Shout out to everybody for hitting that like button and getting us to 50 likes for our goal today. And then we got 50 subscribers. We need 55 is our next goal. So subscriber goal is the next one. Thank you, everybody, for getting us to our goals. Let me cycle back here. Howard over here bringing the absolute heat. What are you saying here, Howard? Yeah, I mean, listen, Howard makes a really, really good point here. Red candles, he's not picking on you. He's just being honest. And I think he's saying what I was actually thinking. I don't want to criticize people too much here. I just want to be honest. But like, you were saying that you need a win this week. You're having a hard time with the way the week's going, all this stuff. Look, man, why not? What do you have to lose trading ES on the simulator for just a little while and seeing how it is, right? Just a little while. Just testing the waters. You got nothing to lose besides some time. You're not going to lose any money doing it on simulator, so give it a go. Why not? All right, let's see. What's this other question? Howard. All right, Howard's question. I'm trying to... Oh, my God. All right. I can't even read the question. All right. Why are NQ... Let's try again. All right. Your question. Why are NQ traders so defensive when I question if they're I got to start over. Why are NQ traders so defensive when I question their obsession with volatility? Is it just ego, poor discipline? Is it disguised gambling habit? Do I believe they tried the ES before crying? Look, I don't know why people get so defensive. It has to be some ego stuff, right? Like, nobody likes to feel like they're being criticized, especially if they're having a bad time. So one thing that happens with a lot of traders that I've experienced over the years, because I've met a lot of traders over the years, they've come and gone in my free Discord, right? My Discord's been around for literally years. And I've had traders come and go, and I'll get these people who come in. Maybe they're trading options, maybe they're trading NQ, maybe they're trading ES, maybe they're trading Bitcoin, whatever it is. And they want to feel like their strategy is the best thing ever. So they come in hoping that they can get some sort of confirmation bias to support them on the decisions that they're making, even if those are bad decisions, right? Maybe they had a couple winning trades and now they think that they've hit the jackpot and they have a strategy that's, super good. Maybe they took someone else's course and they believe that they have the holy grail. Whatever it is, they come in and they start trading. Or they start trading and they eventually somehow found their way to my free Discord. They talk about how great things are, and then they say all this stuff. They defend their position. They talk about how amazing their strategy is. They don't handle any scrutiny or questions very well, and then eventually they just are disappeared to never be heard from again. And I know that if they were consistently successful, they would be hanging out and telling us that, hey, listen, I've been doing this for 6 months with this strategy. It's working amazing. Never happens. They disappear and they're gone. And they're gone like so fast. And it's no offense to them. It's just the truth. And I've seen this over time. I've seen people come and go. I also see people who, they join the paid course that I have in my paid community. They hang out for less than a month, or they hang out for a month. They take the course and then they just rule it out as, oh, this doesn't work. And it's like, you only traded this for a month. Like, it takes several months to learn a strategy and be good at it. And it takes several more months to actually start to master your own behavior so that you can follow the strategy effectively. But people's egos get in the way. They want to be convinced that they're right and that they're doing all the right things, even though they're not, right? Like, a lot of people are doing irresponsible stuff. Dude, I had a guy comment on one of my videos the other day and tell me that the best way to get profitable as a trader or whatever was to open up 2 prop firm accounts, go long in one direction and short in the other direction at the same time with no stop loss, with a full account size during a news release, in hopes that one of them passes the evaluation period even though the other one fails. And they're like, yeah, you pass it in like 5 seconds and then you can trade with your funded account. And I'm like, what kind of crazy idea is that for sustainability as a trader? That is like one of the worst takes I've ever heard. So the thing is, like, traders will do this all the time, and they'll come into doing things and they'll defend themselves till they're blue in the face, even if they don't know what they're talking about, because they really just want to feel like they're doing the right things. But mostly it's because they're taking losses and they're in denial about it. Or they had a couple of quick wins, but overall they're not consistent and they're in denial about the fact that what they're doing doesn't work. People do this all the time. Like, how many people have you met in your life that just make bad decisions, right? That just make bad decisions, and they're literally in the process of making a bad decision, and you're trying to tell them, look, this is a bad choice, right? This is a bad choice. Don't do this. And they're like, they have every which reason of why this is a good choice, even though you know that it's bad. And you're giving them logic, and they're finding some way to come up with faulty logic to confirm the bias of what they emotionally want. Dude, I've seen it so many times. I'll never forget the time I had a family member who wanted to buy a new car. And at the time, this family member was only 18 years old and had like a job that was decent, like for an 18-year-old. But like, why do you want a car payment, right? And my argument was, look, you don't have a car payment right now. You have a car that's perfectly good. You don't have a car payment on it. It's paid off. Just like, save your money. Why do you want to have a car payment? And they had every which reason why they needed to buy this super expensive car and why they needed other people to co-sign on a loan for them, right? And I'm like, dude, this is not a good move. This is a bad decision overall. It's irresponsible. It's not what you should be doing. You should be saving money so you can move out on your own, do all these other things, save up, like to invest or whatever. Don't waste your money on this car payment. It's just not a good move for you. You don't need it. You have a perfectly good car. And it wasn't like a bad car. The person had a decent car. It wasn't like a car that's breaking down or anything. But I remember the family member just over and over every single time confirm, like, oh, this is why it's a good decision. This is why. And I'm giving them every reason why it's a bad decision. And they're still going forward with why it's a good decision. Look, I see traders do the exact same thing. This is built into our psychology. We don't like to be wrong as people. It's really hard for us to just be wrong and accept when we're wrong, or hear somebody that's saying something that goes against our confirmation bias. It's just hard for us psychologically because we're emotionally tied to our decisions. So that's what I think is going on overall when we get all this backlash from people all the time. And so anyway, that's my long version of that. Rant over, but hopefully that answers the question. All right, now I missed all these chats. Let's see. Red Candles over here taking the accidental trade. That's almost a fat finger trade, and he still had success there. Pretty sweet. Project Panic, shout out to you. Scalping the last like. Your boy scalped the last like. Let's see. Matt, do I need my second entries to be touching the EMA on the signal candle, or do I sometimes take the trade if the candle is pretty close? I take the trade if it's pretty close, if the setup is right. The EMA is just a helpful tool, just like the trend lines are a helpful tool, but it doesn't always have to be on the key entry point to take the trade. But again, it's better off a lot of times if it is, but it's not always going to happen. And there's very, very many good setups that are not on the actual spot. So that's just the way it is. Yep, Howard used to be a Forex trader, so he knows the pain because that is one of the worst things to trade in my opinion. Red Candles. Look, don't try to be good at all three of those things. Just pick one and just do it and be good at that. And then eventually, if you want to try the others, you can. But you've already tried NQ for a while, so just try ES and see if you have more success with it. I can't tell you how many people. I made these posts a while back. If you go to my Instagram, my TikTok, my most popular reel that I've ever posted and popular TikTok on both of them is me criticizing the NQ and talking about why I think that ES is actually a better asset to trade. People went berserk, freaked out on me. A lot of people freaked out on me, but I can't tell you how many comments are in there of people who were like, I'm going to try ES after watching this. And then they came back like 2 weeks later and are like, hey, thanks for this reel. I never thought about doing this. Now I'm trading ES and I'm having way more success. Dude, so many people have messaged me that. People have DM'd me that. Like, so it's a real thing because a lot of people just start off trading NQ, and that's the whole beef, is that they don't even realize that like there's more stable assets out there. Nobody used to trade NQ years ago. Nobody. When I got into trading, nobody even talked about it. All right. Let me get back to... I missed so many comments here. Let me see. Yeah, exactly. So that's the whole thing. To your comment there, to Project Panic. So yeah, the person gets a funded account, and then what? They don't even have a strategy that really makes any sense. And also, most prop firms don't let you trade during the news anyway. So then what are you going to do? Well, most of these people, what they end up doing is they become those opening range breakout traders, and they try to trade in both directions with different accounts, and they don't care if they lose them. It's a super reckless way to trade, but they're not trading with their own money, so they don't care as much. That's what I think people are actually doing. Da, 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 da. Okay, Gene, you said the 5,000 volume chart looks very similar to the 2,000 ES. You have used volume charts on and off in the past. Lots of volume, order flow traders, you're popular. You like the style of price action. Yeah, so listen, Gene, you can actually trade volume charts instead of tick charts. They are actually really useful. So I don't remember if the 5,000 volume or the 10,000 volume was similar. I think the 10,000 volume chart used to be similar to the 2,000 tick ES chart, but it's changed over time. So you'd have to experiment with it. I don't mess with it because I just trade what works. But it is a thing that you can do. And if you want to test that, that's up to you. But just don't get yourself too distracted trying a bunch of different stuff. Try to master what we already know works. That's the key. Yeah, but red candles, what's the point? So here's the question, red candles. What is the point of doing that? What's the point of cutting your ES position in half for NQ? It doesn't scale the exact way that you're talking about, right? Because, here's the thing also to consider is, on a cash account, an ES contract is $500. An NQ contract is $1,000. So you actually have to scale your ES in half in order for it to be the same margin amount. But the thing is, if you're trading ES, you could also trade the tick amount. Let's say you're trading with 10 ES contracts. Well, every tick is $12.50 per contract. So I mean that's a pretty big move. Or let's call it 2 contracts, right? 2 ES contracts. Well, 1 tick of movement is going to be $25 worth of movement. 1 NQ contract is worth $5 per tick. The NQ doesn't move 5 times as much as the ES. It just doesn't. So, think about it like that. If you're going for, let's say, 4 ticks on the ES, right? With 2 contracts, that's quite a big trade, right? That's going to be $100 for 4 ticks. The NQ is going to be, to get $100 with the NQ on 1 contract, you need it to move 20 ticks. Do you really think the NQ is going to move 20 ticks when the ES only moves 4? I don't think so. That's my take. So think about that too. All right. I feel like I missed a million comments here. I'm trying to go back. Let's see. Hey, that is good, red candles. That is good, man. That is good. But, if you have something that works for you, then keep doing it. If you have something that works for you, just keep doing it. Well, I don't know, red candles. I don't trade the news at all. I stay out of it. Literally, I mark the news on my chart as spots to not take a trade because I think it's just risky anyway. So, all right. So now we got to look at this. This is grinding higher. So earlier I was saying I didn't really like the drawing the channel off the lows. Now I'm starting to wonder, does it fit? Sort of. Let me try to draw this a few different ways. I haven't even been looking at the price action very much. My bad, everybody. I was just kind of getting caught up. So let me see. You kind of have to, you can't really ignore this. We are grinding higher. Let me see if there's any other way to draw this that makes any sense. I mean, this is looking like a ridiculous channel, but you could draw this. Not super accurate looking to me, but you could draw that. I'm just trying to see what possibilities we have here. Not super accurate to me because of the way that that forms. Like, that's a weird looking gap right there. But you can draw that. All right. Okay. Okay, we are going to look at the 5,000 volume chart because why not? It's going to give me an error because it's not a tick chart anymore now. So these are 5,000 volume. Let me zoom out and see what that looks like. All of my drawings are still on there from the tick chart, so it's going to look different. Let's zoom out. The tick chart has more going on than the 5,000 volume by far. I mean, if you just literally take a measurement, candle to candle, there's 380 bars on the tick chart. Let's see what there is on the volume chart. 196. Not even close. There's literally like barely half the amount, or around half the amount of bars. So if you wanted to trade this like the 2000 tick chart, you would literally need to change this. You'd probably need something more than less than 5,000. It's probably 2,500 volume would probably line up better. So that's how I would see that. But anyway, I'm going to X out of that because I don't want to get distracted. All right, I think that I'm probably going to wrap up here soon. Let me see what's going on. Let me see. What do we got here? Nah, see, I think that red candle's the problem. The problem is where you're placing your stop loss. We place our stop losses on the ES one tick below the signal bar. They always go in the same place with the strategy I trade. And so like you don't give your, like with our strategy, you don't give yourself more leeway. So it wouldn't matter. The position size doesn't matter. The placement is always going to be basically the same. All right. Project Panic spike and sideways channel. It could be a spike and channel, right? That's what I was looking at that for a second. It kind of lines up basically the same way. If I was going to draw this as a spike and channel, probably draw it like this. So we could probably just like that. I mean, like it is getting respected because it makes a new high and it keeps making more new highs. We do possibly have a wider channel from those lows that is in play still. Like, I mean, you can't really ignore that, but you need really, to me, even though you have first, second, third swing, I'd really want another swing down here to really be sure about this channel. Like this is kind of a wonky one. This is also one of those ones where you could go long or short off of it because it's so flat. So we got to see what happens here. We're probably going to get a close outside, and it's a rejection of the highs up here. So maybe we get some sort of setup, maybe. But I'm ready to be done because we've been streaming for a while. So, any last minute questions before we go? Any last minute questions? Thanks for getting us to our like goal today. Our subscriber goal was 5255. We still need 4, but I don't think we're going to get 4 subscribers in the next like 3 minutes. Maybe we will. So if you have any final questions or thoughts, put them in the chat. Otherwise, we will wrap up because I got some stuff I got to take care of later. Thanks, everybody, for participating today, for being here. Super fun day. I had a great time, as always. Let me see. Okay, we got a new member. Let me get him added. Okay, turn off. All right, got him. Got him. Sorry, I had to respond to somebody. Give me a moment. Let me see. Let me see. All right. My bad, everybody. I missed all those chats. Let me go back. All right. Hey, thank you, Matt. I appreciate you as always. Thank you. Thank you. And you know what I'll do. I'll get the stream set up for tomorrow. Fraser, to you, a second entry short would seem quite viable here. There's no way to have one because your new low is all the way down here. So you've already had a first, second, third, fourth, fifth entry short, and none of it's working. So I think that would be a wildly irresponsible move to try to take a short there. That's my opinion. Yeah, we don't have a new low to count from. So we don't have there's no way to get a second entry short there. But also this wider channel might not be in play. This literally might just be a spike in channel that's going higher. Like this could easily just go all the way back up. All the way back up here to our original range. It could come all the way back up here and go back into the range. We could literally, this day, no joke, this day could go, this could come all the way back up into the range and close and go higher and turn into a bullish day or a doji day. Like, just remember that, remember that. It's like a giant mixed day. Yeah, Fraser, I think that you might be on the... Yeah, I think so, man. Look, just wait till after your trip when you can start doing the course, or just join while you're on the trip if you know you're going to have time to watch the course. Whatever you want to do, just take it slow, man. Just take it slow. I think just take it slow. Watch the price action. Take it slow. Because I think that you might be trading some sort of a wonky system. No offense. All right, everybody. And by the way, when you do join, go here. After you join, eventually you're going to get to this section of the course. 8.4.4. This was a masterclass I did last week. Super comprehensive. And it goes over a lot of this stuff. There's also a section on second entries in here. Where is it? Where did I put it? Live analysis. I think it might be this one. One of these, I forget where it is, but it's in here somewhere. Oh, it's right here. Price action master. No, that's not it. Right here. I did a second entry short thing in here. Like, I did a bunch of stuff on second entries and explaining them. There's a bunch of stuff in there on all that. Like, I've recorded myself doing it on Zoom calls and literally drawing it out and all that. Oh, man. Yeah, for sure. For sure. It is. All right, everybody. I'm going to wrap up here. But I had a great time today hanging out with all of you. As always, it's all love. All love. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate you all. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to close out the stream now. And then what I'm going to do is schedule the other one for tomorrow. So as soon as this one ends, I'll schedule the next one for tomorrow so you can put your alerts on. And I'll see you all then. Tomorrow's stream will be about hour and a half because we have our Zoom call with the paid community after. So if you want to join that paid community Zoom call, then just join before the Zoom call tomorrow, which is at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So as long as you join the paid community before then, you can join. And I'll see you all then. All right, take care, everybody. You're welcome. You're welcome. Take care.